Hey guys, a little Sunday video coming at you about morning meetings and how the right type of meeting can change the energy of your store instantaneously, and therefore also changing the numbers and changing the trajectory of the growth of your store. I was reflecting on this morning. If I were to go in a store that my life depended on doing the record a week, how would I go in on a Monday? How would I go in on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on? And I'll tell you this right now, there's a few things that are very important about having a good morning meeting. You guys know we've been doing morning meetings for many years now, and you guys know that is a recipe for success. I'll just premise all this by saying that if you're not doing morning meetings, you are running your store blind, you are running your team blind, and truthfully, you're just not even trying, because you just have to try to do a meeting and it's gonna be not having a meeting. And you'll be surprised how many businesses, let alone auto shops, just businesses in general, they just don't do meetings. You just show up and they say, all right, good luck, like go to work. And then they complain why people aren't bought in, or they don't know the vision, or they don't know the direction. How do you expect people to know that without actually sitting them down for 15 to 20 minutes in the morning and just getting everybody aligned, right? That's just the premise. You gotta have morning meetings. And if you want just more on that, there's plenty of material that I have made and is in our Bible that you can refer to and why meetings are important. That said, let's talk about having the perfect meeting. This is like level 2 meeting. This is not like just having a meeting. Oh, let's talk about having the best meeting you possibly can. There's a few elements to having the perfect meeting, in my opinion, humbly, from what I've learned running a lot of meetings. I probably ran hundreds of meetings, if not over 1,000 at this point. And I'll tell you that the perfect element for a morning meeting specifically is making sure that everybody's on the right path, meaning that their energy level, I go around and I check everyone, make sure they're all okay. Hey guys, everyone, oh, that guy's sick. Oh, maybe we should pay attention to this guy to make sure that nothing happens, or if he wants to go home, whatever. You want to make sure your team is ready, your soldiers are ready for battle. You don't want to send wounded guys on the battlefield. And that's a bad idea for everybody, especially your guys. You want to protect your team. Remember, you want to live to fight forever, not just today. Please keep that into consideration. Now, if a guy's a little sniffly but he wants to work, I'm not going to tell him not to go home. That's on him, right? You got to let people make their own decisions. But at the same time, you got to make sure that people are physically and mentally and emotionally there. A lot of times guys may be going through stuff. Life happens. People lose family members. Unfortunately, people lose sick relatives, sick children, and maybe people can't focus. And I can't have a guy, again, on a battlefield that is not fully physically or mentally present. And once again, maybe it's a conversation that needs to be had, a one-on-one that needs to be had, or maybe once again, you may give that option of, hey man, why don't you come back when you have less going on so you can actually focus on the work at hand. That's number one. I go around, ask everyone how it's doing. I'm really gauging everybody's energy. Are you doing okay? And if it's the usual, hey man, it was an okay night, whatever. That's fine. I don't care about that. But like, if you can just tell something really off about your guy, then you should probably call that out. So step 2, talk about yourself, of course, and then you get right into what are we doing here? And what's the goal for today? What's the goal for today in sales, number 1? What's the goal for today in production? How much work are we going to get done? And what's the goal to cash it all out? This is not a training meeting. This is talking about making sure that we understand what our goals are to get things done. We're going to get into the training in a second. Guys, here's what we want to do today. We want to do 25,000 in sales ideally, but minimum we'll accept is 15,000. God willing, the cars are there, but that's minimum our standard for today. And that's what we're going to do. Is everybody cool with that? Yes, sir. Boom. Everybody has the same goal now. 15 grand minimum, 25 grand maximum. We're going to try to get all of it done if we can. Now what? Then you get into the training. Now we're talking about my second one, by the way, is what's the goal for the week? Well, it was 25K. Goal today, this week is 70,000 done. Let's put that goal down on Monday and we'll adjust it as we go. Chances are you're probably going to have to raise the number if you do everything right as I suggest. The next part you get into is really interesting, because now you've talked to them about how they're doing, you've talked to them about the goal and what that means for them and what we're going to do, minimum and maximum. The next part of the training is where you start to get into something the team really needs to work on. And I want to make sure you guys understand this. It isn't what you feel. It isn't what you think the team is. It's what the team needs. It's not what you're excited about talking about. I love talking about sales. I'd rather talk about sales 6 days a week. But that's not always what the team needs. Sometimes the team needs to work on QC. Sometimes the team needs to work on speed of service. Sometimes the team needs to focus on nonverbal communication. Sometimes the team needs to slow down and have more meetings. Whatever that is, you need to have your pulse, your hand on that pulse, and be like, hey guys, yesterday I noticed, or last week I noticed, if you're coming in on a Monday, that this one thing bothered me, and I noticed that this is the metric that's off. So I have data, right? Our close ratio was 38%. It's supposed to be close to 50. Here's what I think we can do to fix it. Because if the close ratio is down, chances are it's something to do with our speed, something to do with the size of the pitch, something to do with the prep, something to do with not pitching the right item. Whatever it is, That's what we need to focus on. Oh, by the way, we have a procedure. It's called the circle of sales. Why don't we focus on that? Now you have the team thinking about a metric. Well, why should you care about close ratio? Well, listen, Johnny, if we had a 50% close ratio last week, we would have closed 12% more than 38%. And generally, that means we would have 12% increase in revenue. It's really that simple. If you have 12% more in revenue, that could mean a $10,000 in increase in revenue. And Johnny, for you, sir, since you're getting 3% of revenue, you're going to make another $300 or $15,000 a year. Should you care about close ratio? How about all of you? Should you all care about close ratio? We do, great. Now let's talk about how we can all work as a team to improve that close ratio. And great, we actually have a procedure. It's called the circle of sales. If we just do these things, we will increase our close ratio, we will increase our revenue, we'll make it easier to run our shop, to make more money for everybody, and to give our customers better service. Who doesn't want to do that? And then you get right into the training after that. Again, that's the process. I always start with the team. I move right into the goals and why we're doing this, and then I talk about the metric that I don't like, and then I roll right into the training that's going to fix that metric. And you try to do one thing at a time. You don't do 18 things. As much as I might bounce around, my always goal recently has been focus on one thing at a time. We're talking about morning meetings. I'm not going to talk about 18 other things on this video, right? We're going to talk about one thing, focus on that one procedure, make sure everybody understands why that procedure is important. And yes, you're going to have guys that understand it here and guys that understand it here. But the beauty is this is not gibberish to them anymore, because now they're thinking. You've actually filled the void of people's thoughts. You don't want your people thinking about what the shop can do better, because everybody's going to come with different answers, I promise you. You don't want them to figure out what's wrong with your shop. That's our job as managers, as leaders. We already have the recipe in the playbook. You don't send your players on the football field and say, hey man, why don't you guys come up with the best play to beat this offense that we're dealing with, or the best play to beat this defense that we're dealing with. Brother, that's not their job. They're players. Their job is to execute. And your job is to come up with a playbook, make sure they're trained on the playbook, and then you put them in the game and they win games. That's all they do. They execute the playbook. You don't want them to write the playbook, is what I'm saying. You need to focus on making sure that your team understands the problem, and then they understand the solution. And you're doing all this even before they even understand that there is a problem. Because I look over the numbers on the weekend, and Monday morning I'm attacking the problem with all my ferocity. I'm going right in, and they're like, they don't even realize it until their paycheck hits next Friday, and they're like, oh, yeah, Zane did say that our close ratio was down, and look, our revenue is down, and look, my paycheck is down 12%. Look at that. That makes sense. And then what happens as a result, they start trusting you, because they're like, this guy's on it. He's looking out for me even before I look out for me. And yes, that is our job. My job is to look out for you before you look out for you. That's my whole job. And that's why we train. And that's why I train. That's why I make videos on Sundays, because that's my job, to make sure that my team is taken care of, which is every one of you guys. Please understand that if you're going to go in and you're going to run a shop that's going to kick ass Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're going to hit records every freaking day, every single week, then you need to go in with this basic, straightforward approach. Go around, ask the team how they're doing, talk about the goals, talk about the metric that was bad, get right into training, wrap it all up and say, all right guys, does everybody make sense? Boom, let's get it done. Let's go to the board. Let's talk about all the cars that I get done, get times, and get everybody right focused. They don't need to be thinking, they need to be working on the car that's in front of them. If you're a sales guy, you have cars to go under the sell tab, under your part on the board. If you're a production guy, you already have cars lined up. If you're a parts guy, you have cars that need to be ordered, parts that need to be organized. If you're a QC guy, you need to do QCs, you need to clean the store, you need to make whatever. Everybody knows what's up. There's no wasted talent. Nobody's meandering, and nobody's thinking. I don't need my soldiers thinking. I don't need you guys thinking. You're going to get to the point where you're going to get so good, we can alter the playbook. But right now, you guys are here. You guys are some of the best players on the planet when it comes to auto repair, and we need to execute. I hope that makes sense, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.